Protesters have defended the protest, saying that the pastor at the church is a local official serving with ICE. Now, DHS has not confirmed or denied that. Trump's DOJ, though, has called this a crime and said that it was desecrating a house of worship. So out front now is one of the organizers of that protest, Nekima Levy-Armstrong. She's also an attorney and the former president of the Minneapolis NAACP. So, Nekima, I appreciate your time tonight. This incident has obviously now captured national attention. It's front and center for the Justice Department. Has anyone from DOJ contacted you about potential charges?
No, they have not. They have talked a lot in the media about it, but we have not received any information regarding potential charges. And I do want to correct something that was said in the beginning. We did not rush into that church. We actually went and sat down and participated in the service. And after the pastor prayed, that is when I stood up and asked him a question in response to his prayer. And then he responded to me. And then I proceeded to ask him about Pastor David Easterwood and how is it possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota. And instead of responding to me, as soon as I said the name David Easterwood, the pastor said, "Shame, shame." And that is when I led us in chants, "Justice for Renee Good" and "Hands Up, Don't Shoot." So I want to clarify that. We didn't rush in. We didn't bust in. We were a part of the service until I got up and posed that question to the pastor.
All right. And obviously, I'm not going to dispute your saying what happened. I'm merely describing how CNN is describing it. I obviously wasn't in the room. But that moment that you're talking about, and obviously the way you lay it out could dramatically affect things. But the moment you talk about justice for Renee Good, I'll play that because we do have audio of that here first. Here it is.
Renee Good. Renee Good. Renee Good.
So when that happened, okay, obviously City's Church, where you held the protest, they say this was shameful. They say invading a church service to disrupt the worship of Jesus or any other act of worship is protected by neither the Christian scriptures nor the laws of this nation. And I want to note, Nekima, I understand you are an ordained reverend yourself. So I know that you're saying you went in and were peacefully in the church and let the prayer finish before you stood up. But what made you do that, to stand up for the chance for all of that inside a church?
Oh, we were welcomed inside of a church. I am a Christian woman. My faith informs my activism. And I think the question should be, what would lead a church like City's Church to have someone in a role that presents an inherent conflict of interest as being both a pastor as well as not just an ICE agent, but the director of ICE in Minnesota. Now, if you have been watching the media reports, you already know that over 3,000 ICE agents have descended upon the Twin Cities. So if we want to talk about busting into somewhere and descending upon a place, then we need to be talking about what ICE has done. And that they have been extremely brutal towards residents of the Twin Cities and across the state of Minnesota. They have been allowed to use brute force. They have been allowed to bust into people's homes and bring high-powered military weapons. They've been allowed to use flashbang grenades, tear gas, most recently almost killing a 6-month-old baby who was riding in a vehicle with their family of 8 when ICE agents launched flashbang grenades and tear gas at that family's SUV. Now, this is not a family of immigrants. This is a family of African Americans, native-born African Americans, and their baby lost consciousness when that tear gas came into the vehicle. And the mom had to perform CPR while talking to someone through 911. And then their other 2 children, they had to rush to the emergency room because they have asthma and could not breathe as well. So if we want to talk about busting into somewhere, that is what we need to be talking about and keep the main thing the main thing. Personally, I will not be gaslit by the